So thank you all for coming out tonight for this brief training. We will not be before you long, but we wanted to give you space for just any questions you may have on this new giving platform, but also just give you a good overview about how to operate it and all the features that are available to us, and just understanding why we made the switch. So as I've shared when I made the announcements on Sundays, we have shifted over to this new giving platform just because the one that we had been using just had some limitations that we were growing out of. And this planning center platform enables us to not only have a better user experience for you as donors and givers to CareView, but also on the back end, it helps us do better with maintaining and stewarding your information, keeping everything up to date in an easy matter that is not as convoluted as the last platform was. And also, Planning Center itself has so many extensions to it that is helping us do administration at a better level. And so you will see in different areas that we will be branching out this platform in other forms and other ministries. So whether it's through scheduling or other things like that, you'll begin to see this pop up more. So this is just the first step, and it's a big step because obviously giving is a major part of the structure of our church. And so it's important for us to understand how it works and how it looks. But again, it's just a better way to maintain our giving records. You can log in and see everything that you've given over the past year or so, and continuously as we use this moving forward. You can access different things as well. And so this is just a better overall user experience for everyone. And we are very, very excited to get more people active on the platform and moving forward with giving as we see fit. So Miss Eloise is going to run through a whole bunch of demos for us. But before we get started, we did want to thank a few people that you see listed on the slide. These are folks who helped us with this transition. We have some of the counters that are doing our cash and checks every Sunday. They kind of initiated a lot of the transition to make sure that records are up to date, as well as Ms. Eloise, Dr. Michelle Wilson, and just a whole bunch of other folks. So we want to thank God for their service and their availability to serve in this transition and make it run smoothly. So I just wanted to honor them by naming them here on this slide. But Ms. Eloise, you can go ahead and take over and lead us through.
Gotta unmute myself. So hello, everyone. You can see my name, the last name on the screen, and I'm really delighted to be a part of this transition team. My job tonight is to walk you through using the application from the web, from an app on your phone, and through text to give, the three methods that we can give. But if you don't remember anything else that we talk about tonight, we definitely want to walk you through the four things that you see on that screen. At the bottom, it's telling you if you need help, if you have questions, even if you have ideas for things that you wish the application could do, we want you to feel free to reach out to us at cvccalerts@gmail.com. So tonight, we're going to show you how and why you should use the application to keep your information up to date, to split your gift between multiple funds, to cover the fees, and to give by ACH when you use your bank account. So let's talk about fees for a minute, just for a couple of minutes. Yesterday, I was talking to a member who had just given a donation using Planning Center, the new system. And she said, oh my gosh, she had given several $100. Her donation was several $100s. And she said, oh my goodness, that new system charges so much more than the old system. We got to figure something out with that. I couldn't believe it. I was in sticker shock. So I want to talk about fees for a minute, but before I talk to you about fees, I want you to talk to me. And if you don't, now I can't see if Minister Kiera is on the phone, but you know, we got it like that. So she'll come get you on Sunday if y'all don't answer. So here's the question. How much did the old system that we used to use charge CareView for each online donation? And you can either feel free to unmute yourself at any time, or you can use the chat. I'm gonna be looking at the chat on my phone. So how much did it charge? I see $3. I see some $3 coming in.
Yeah.
So the answer is, it's complicated. It could have been $3, but sometimes it was more, sometimes it was less. The reason that was a trick question is the old system didn't let us see what CareView was being charged. It didn't show that to you. What you could see was CareView, when we set up the online giving, was able to set up an option where you could choose to add $3 to your donation to offset the mysterious fees, but you couldn't see what those fees were. So tonight, as a bonus for coming, we are going to pull back the curtain and show you what's being charged in the new system versus the old system. So are you ready? Here it is. The old system was called OSV Hub. And I had Jasmine laugh, and I found out yesterday, this shows you how corny it is. This isn't why we changed, but the name OSV stands for Online Sunday Visitors. But I can tell you that it didn't matter if you visited online on Sunday or if you were there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. What you see on the left side is what they charged every time you made a donation. So let's just look at it. If you gave by ACH, which is where you allowed the system to go into your bank account and transfer the money directly, they would charge 0.85% plus 39 cents for each ACH transaction. Look what happens if you used a credit or debit card. Who would think that the fee would depend on which card you used? So the most expensive was if you used American Express. They would charge 3.63% plus 85 cents for every donation that you made online using your American Express cards. Now look at the new system on the right. If you give by ACH, if you put in your bank account information, it's just a flat 30 cents. Doesn't matter if you give $1 or $1 million. If you gave $1 million and you were going to offset the cost, it would be $1,000,000.30. Now, if you use a credit or debit card, it's slightly more. I'm having trouble seeing my screen. So if you use a credit or debit card, that would be 2.15% plus a flat 30 cents for every transaction. So you can see that Planning Center charges less than the old OSV system. Some of us remember a few weeks ago when Pastor Chris got up and started talking about the new system, and she said, CareView was charged about $11,000 in fees for online giving processing over the last year. And I don't know about you, but I was clutching my pearls because that's a lot of money. And I'm thinking, boy, that's a lot of $3, because at the time I didn't realize that the $3 wasn't what the church was being charged. But just to help you understand, just this year, we have the church has received almost 2,500 donations. So you can see whether it's the old system or the new system, you can see how at that volume, how those fees could easily add up and get to $11,000. So just to bring it home, I just wanted to give you a real example. So in this example, a person donates $100. On the left, you can see what the fees would be under the old system. And on the right, you can see what they would be in the new system. So look at that. If you gave by ACH in the old system, it would add $1.24 for processing fees, or it would charge CareView $1.24 that you couldn't see in the old system. In the new system, look at that. Just 30 cents. Doesn't matter what you give. It's just 30 cents if you do it that way. Look what happens with the credit cards. If you used American Express, the most expensive card in their system, they would have added $4.20 to your donation. They would have charged CareView $4.20 compared to the new system that would charge $2.45 on top of your $100 donation. So we're going to talk about how we're going to actually go into using the application first from the web and then from the phone using the app. And finally, we're going to do text to give. But before we go into the hands-on demo, I want to give you a chance to ask any questions. So do you have any questions before we start the online demo?
I do, Sister Eloise. I would love to hear what caused the confusion for the person that you spoke with in terms of what made them feel like it was such a big charge. I just want to know, was there confusion or I just, if you could, in light of what you just taught us, what did you tell them?
The reason she was confused is, they were confused, is because they thought that the charge in the old system was a flat $3. So they've been given the same amount, the same hundreds of dollars every month for years. And under the old system, what they saw was, a checkbox where you could say, do you want to add $3 to offset processing fees? So like me, I thought for years that the old system charged, I thought that was the charge. So that's why they said that.
See,
Any
thank
other
you.
questions?
It's very good. Thank you.
Okay, if not, hearing none, we're going to go to the online demonstration. And we're going to start by online giving from the web. So you may have the new link bookmarked, but if you don't, you can go to our beautiful CareView website, click the green Give button, which will take you to our Give website. And as you know, when you scroll down, you see all of the options that you have to give. So tonight we're in the black, we're giving online. So whether you touch the little monitor here, the big fat words give online, or the smaller ones below, when you click, it'll take you to Church Center. So let me talk about Church Center. Jasmine told you about Planning Center. Planning Center is the system, but the way we interact with it as church members is through an application called Church Center. So when we log in to give our donations, we're logging into Church Center. So we are now at CareView's Church Center. And I gave you those 4 takeaways. The first one was keep your information up to date. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Now to do that, you have to log in. For this demonstration, I didn't want to put all my business out there, so I created a little dummy account. Now this dummy account only has an email address connected to it. And I'm going to talk about that for a second. Remember, Jasmine showed that list of 9 or 10 of us that have been working on this for a while. And one of the things we did was to load information into Planning Center. So if you have donated, whether it was through cash or checks in the counting room, whether you only give through Venmo or Cash App, or whether you were giving online with the old system, we created a profile for you. The way that you connect with that profile is through either your phone number or your email address. So when you log in, as long as you're using the phone number or the email address that we had on file for you, and who else we created profiles for, even if you never gave, if you were in the list of people that were receiving announcements from the church, if you were in that system, we brought you over into Planning Center. So now it's going to try to identify you based on either your cell phone number or your email address, and you can choose which one you want to enter here. If you enter it and it never heard of you because you don't have a profile, you'll walk through the prompts, and it's very easy to create one. For this demonstration, I have a little dummy account, but it only has an email address. So I'm going to click where it says use email address. And this is the email address I use when I'm in polite company, eloiseNyoung@gmail.com. That's my fancy one. So now it will have sent a code to my Eloise N. Young email. And there it is, 757675. 757675. So hopefully that was right, and I'm going to get in. So now it found eloiseNyoung@gmail.com in its database, and it says, hello, Eloise. If that wasn't you, sometimes people share email accounts. So if we had you in there with an email account and you shared it with your husband, so now your wife's name comes up, but you're the husband, you can say it's not you, and it'll create a new profile for you, walk you through the prompts. But in this case, I'm me, so I'm going to log in as myself. Now it's determined it wants to have a cell phone number, but I'm not going to give it because it's a dummy account. So I'm just going to skip that. Hello, there we go. And now it's going to take me into the system. So this is the giving page. Now, the first thing I want to show you is how to update your information. What do we mean by information? And to do that, I'm sorry, I should have said it. Because I had a profile, but I didn't upload my picture, in the upper right-hand corner, this little colored ball appears with my initials. When you click on that, it gives you access to your profile and some other things. But right now, we're just interested in the profile. So I'm going to click on that. And now I can update my information. So again, there are some other things on this page. You can schedule recurring payments. You can set up payment methods. But right now, we're going to talk about updating our information. So I'm going to go to my profile. And so this is the information that we're talking about. And there are two categories: personal information and contact information. And the church is interested in both. So to update it, all you have to do right now, this doesn't know who this Eloise young person is, doesn't know anything, but I could tell it by clicking edit. The things that we're interested in knowing about you: your gender, your birth date if you want to share, and your marital status. Now, the reason we want that is obviously some of the ministries use that information. Sometimes we only want to address the women or the men or people that were born, the young folks, or the marrieds or the singles. So now you are able to update your own information and tell us who you are. Now, when we loaded your profiles, we did our best to identify you. So if we knew your gender, your marital status, we put it in there. We didn't put nobody's birthday in there. That was yours to do. But other than that, we did. And now this control is in my way. So let me see if I can move it. Yep. All right. So I'm not going to change anything. The other category of information is contact information. Very important that we have contact information for you. That includes your email address, and you can have multiple email addresses, your phone numbers, and you can have multiple of those, and your mailing address. We are going to make Planning Center the single source of contact information for our members. So now, if you're not getting the church announcements, or you're not getting those 1-minute inspirations from the pastor, you can go into Planning Center and make sure that we have your correct contact information right here. So that was the first bullet, updating your information. Now let's talk about giving. And it couldn't be easier. You can see that little thing up there that says give. So when we click on that, it takes us to the giving page. And it's very straightforward. There's an amount. So let's just say I'm giving $1,000. Notice that the default here is tithes and offerings. You can change that to any of the funds that we have. But look at that. Let's say I want to give $1,000. I want to tithe $1,000. But I love the pastor, so I'm going to give him 700. And so as you can see, this is what we call splitting the gift between multiple funds. I can keep going. I can give $100 to missions. And as you can see, as I do this, the system is tallying up my total gift. So let's look at, so you saw how to split the donation. I have to keep moving the control. So now I want to show you the whole thing about giving using ACH. Notice for this dummy demo account, I gave it an ACH, which is just meaning I put my bank account information so I can go in and get it right out of my bank account. And I also have a Visa card on file. So right now I've highlighted the ACH method. And look at that, down at the bottom, I can check this box to cover for my $1,800 donation. They're only going to charge me 30 cents because I'm using ACH. Look what happens when I change it to my credit card. The fee goes up to $39.86. So that's why, if you can, we are encouraging people to give by ACH, because clearly it saves a lot of money. Another thing you can do on this page is designate how often you want this gift to come out. Right now it's set for one and done, one gift. I could make that monthly. And if I decided to make it monthly, I can say when in the month I want it to happen. It could be any time from the 1st to the 28th. And then I can say, when do I want it to start? Because you don't have to start right away. So you can go as much as 6 months into the future. I could make my gift weekly. And if I make it weekly, I can tell it which day of the week I want it to start. And again, I can schedule it to start in the future if I want to. I could make it every other week. And if I say every other week, I just need to tell it what day of the week, when it takes it out, do I want it to come out? And again, when do I want that to start? And finally, instead of every other week, I might want it to be twice monthly. So if I select that option, I have a few choices. It could be the 1st and the 15th, the 6th and the 20th, or the 11th and the 25th. And again, I can say when I want that to start. Now, if I were to click this green button, of course, I wouldn't do that without clicking that one. I would be making the donation. The other thing you can see from here is your giving history. We have loaded all of 2023, 24, and 2025. Whether you gave by Cash App, Venmo, cash, or check, or the old giving system, you will find your donation history here. And, it's very easy to view. Another thing you can do here is, if you didn't do it on the first page, you may not be ready to give yet, but you may want to schedule a recurring gift. So you can do that here without actually giving. The last thing I want to show you, because you should feel free to get in there and click around because you're not going to break anything, is notifications. When you give a gift, every time you give a gift, it's going to send you an email with a receipt, unless you tell it not to. So if you're doing a lot of giving, you may not want all those receipts. You may not want them anyway. Like me, I just use the one at the end of the year. So you can tell it not to do that. So you can tell it never email me donation receipts. So that is giving online through the application. And we covered all 4 points: how to update your info, how to split your gift across multiple funds, how to give by ACH, and how to cover the fee. I do want to show you one thing that came up. If you're
Can I just make a quick statement?
Oh, sure.
This Eloise showed that you can see your full giving history. I just want to make note that if you give on Cash App and Venmo, that those giving histories will be updated just once a month. And so, for example, if you gave on Venmo last Sunday, you won't see that in your planning center until the end of this month or beginning of December.
Okay.
That's just because of how we have to process that on the back end. Transferring the information from those different platforms into planning center just takes a few moments and administratively. So just keep a heads up about that.
Jasmine,
That's
can I
right.
ask a quick question about this, since you're talking about Cash App and Venmo and Sister Eloise? Isn't there, well, I guess I'm asking, we're trying to look at, is it still as convenient to do Cash App and Venmo, since we have text to give and all those things? Like I'm trying to say, in terms of how we communicate with our congregation, when we began accepting Cash App and Venmo, it was during the pandemic, and Pastor wanted to make it convenient for people to give quickly. But I just wanted to hear either one of you speak to, is there just as much benefit to doing it, another way?
So with text to give, it does make it quick to do giving from your phone, because it's just literally, and Miss Eloise will demonstrate that momentarily. But as far as Cash App and Venmo, administratively on the back end, it does take more work for us to input that information in general, in totality, to make sure that it's documented and appropriated to the right funds and things of that nature. I would suggest that obviously we still have the option if you want to give through Cash App or Venmo. I understand like people have certain funds within those accounts, and so that makes it easier as well. Like you can just give beyond just the ease of giving it from the app. People have money stored in these accounts. Like I have $10 in my Cash App, I have $30 in Venmo I can give from there. But I would advise people it's free to do this. Each Venmo and Cash App both have debit cards that you can order. And so rather than giving through Cash App, the app, you can just use the Cash App card that would be associated to that account if it's because you want to give the money that's in that account, if that makes sense. That way you're still processing it through Planning Center itself. It's going through as a Visa card because those two are Visa. I think Venmo is actually MasterCard, but it's going through a card rather than directly from the app, but it's still coming from that pile of money that you might have there, but makes it easier on our end as far as documentation. It'll be immediately shown. So if that's the reason, if it's because you have money in those Cash App or Venmo accounts that you use that to give, you can still do it directly from the app if that's easier for you. But also just keep in mind that you can also obtain a free debit card for each of those accounts and use on Planning Center or Church Center using that card as you see, as Ms. Eloise has shown. Is that clear, Pastor Chris?
It is very clear. Thank you. Now, the question, though, that people might ask, I know I'm having this question now, is that example that Eloise showed, that $36 fee that came up with the credit card. So if they use that Cash App card, it would come up as that same fee?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but also note that we do not have that option in Cash App or Venmo to cover a fee, and there are fees that are similar.
Yeah.
I don't think it's as much, but there are fees that we have to pay when you do give on Cash App
Yep.
and Venmo.
Yeah.
So there's still a fee either way,
Yeah.
that we'll have to cover.
Sure.
So just keep that in mind too.
And the other
Yeah.
question I had with that, what was $36 or $39, I forget what you showed us, Eloise, but you showed us that would go to the donor, that the donor had to pay that fee. But is there still another fee that the church pays behind that as well?
That is the fee that the church would pay. The donor doesn't get charged for that. The donor has the option to click this button so that they cover the processing fee. But if they don't click that, it's just like the old system.
I see. So that
Yeah,
$36 will be covered by us if they didn't click that. I
that's
gotcha.
right. That's
Okay.
right. And I
I
do want
see.
to add that we did put in a request. One of the things with this system is it's evolving. And so we've made a number of requests for changes in future releases. And we did ask that they add Cash App and Venmo as payment methods.
Hmm.
So they took our request, and you don't know if they're going to do it. And if they do it, we don't know when they'll do it. But, when looking at the donations, there are a number of people who only give through Cash App or Venmo. And the Cash App and Venmo donations, they do add up,
They
so,
do.
it's tens of thousands of dollars over the course of a year.
Mm-hmm.
So any other?
Let me just follow up one more thing with that. I'm wondering, Jasmine, if we can do a special announcement about that because it is such a significant thing that people do with Cash App and Venmo. And I think a lot of people may or may not know about the option of getting a Cash App card or a Venmo card. It might be something worthwhile sharing because um, I do just think it's cleaner to have everything in one space versus what, to all those who are online now, what we are currently having to do is our finance team has to transfer that monthly report to Eloise and Jasmine so that they can put it into Planning Center. So it's so many hands, and it's a times thing also, because remember that all of us who are on doing all these things are doing it from a volunteer basis, and Jasmine and everybody in the finance team has full-time jobs, and so it can be more challenging sometimes to get this, information. So I think it is worthwhile communicating that to the body that there are options toward making this as smooth as possible. I don't know how we say that without sounding like we're being too obtrusive in people's business, but I think
I don't think I think we can verbalize that easily. We can figure out a way to articulate it. It's just making sure that people understand that it's not a separate thing. It's not an extra charge. It's literally in the app. You say, I just ordered a Venmo one like a couple weeks ago. Just order my card and it comes in the mail. You can put a little design on it if you want. It's really cool. And it just goes in as a new debit card. And that way, instead of going into your Cash App to make a gift, you're literally just going to Planning Center and you're selecting your Cash App card to do it. And I just want to make note too, like when Miss Eloise just did the demo of paying with a Visa card or whatever it was, and the total was $39. That is because it looked at the total of her payment that was $1,800. Again, it's taking that percentage of that. So again, if she just did $100, it would have been just extra $3 or whatever it was. So be cognizant of that as well as you're making your gifts. How much do you usually give? So you're not scared of paying an extra $40 or charging CareView an extra $40. Just be aware of that.
Right. It depends on how much you gave. And in the example, I made a very large donation. I just wanted to show you one more thing that has come up. When you set up ACH, the way you do it is you click, US bank account, and then you have to search through their list of known banks. So you may have a small bank that they never heard of before. So like Chloe's bank, they never heard of it. If you're dealing with a bank that they don't know, you can enter that bank manually by clicking where it says enter bank details manually. And what you do is you enter the routing number and the account number and just follow the prompts. And what it will do is it will attempt to connect to that account that you entered. And if it gets a hit, it's going to deposit, they call it a micro deposit, a penny or two. And so you have to go into your online banking. Takes a day or two, but you'll go into your online banking. And when you see that small deposit, there's some control information that you'll come back and enter in here. And that's how you verify that you gave it the right bank. So even if you're banking with a small bank or a bank that's not known to Planning Center, you can still add it and do the ACH. So are there any other questions about online giving and what you've seen so far before we go to the app?
Hans has a question in the chat regarding the notes section. You want to go over that real quick?
I knew Hans
I was
was
trying to
going to ask that
type,
question. Right now, you cannot add notes to your gifts, but I can tell you that we have requested that, Hans. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I've been entering a lot of the donations. So I know, Hans, that you use that a lot. So we have asked for it in the application. And apparently CareView isn't the only church that's been asking for it. So they actually told me that they're definitely going to put it in and that it should be coming soon. In fact, they said, hopefully by the end of the year, you should be able to put a note on your donation. But unfortunately, right now, you can't. So
in the meantime, if you are to use that option and need to let us, like if you need to specify something about your designation, you can feel free to email CBCC Alerts and just say, I just made a donation. It should be going to XYZ, and we'll work from there.
And I'm telling you, I know that a lot of the leaders of the church are on this call. I can't wait until we demo the back end of Planning Center, because it is just amazing the things that you can do. So even though you as a donor can't put a note on a donation, on the back end, the administrators can. And so it's a very powerful tool. It's just an awesome thing that the church is doing. So thank you for asking that, Hans. Andrea Tucker, I noticed that you unmuted yourself. Were you going to ask a question?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions before we move into the app? We're almost done. Okay, so I don't hear anything. So let's see if this works. I've been testing this all day. So now I'm going to share my cell phone screen.
You may want to stop sharing your current screen. Oh, you got it.
Yeah, oh yeah. I've been practicing. So here we are on the screen. And remember we said that Planning Center is the back end. the church management system, but the way church members interact with it is through something called Church Center. So if you want to use it, use the app that you want is the Church Center app. Now, I happen to be an Android user because Android is the best. So I'm going to go into Android Play, but you could go Apple if that's what you're going to do. So what you want to do is you go into your thing and you search for Church Center. Now, I've searched for it millions of times, so there it is. And you can see with the little church thing there. Now, I already have it installed, so I'm going to open it. Uh-oh. And now it's going to make me log in. So I'm going to use my email again. So I'm going to say Easy. Oh, nope, that's not my good one. I'm going to say Eloise. I almost used the wrong one. I'm going to use my real one. And it is really just like logging in to the app that you saw on the internet. Okay, let me get my code. Hold on. Let me just get the code. There it is. 157-675. Yes. Uh-oh. What?
I think that was the code I sent you before, probably
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There it is. 402-493. But it's the same. So now I'm getting logged in. I'm Eloise, so I'm going to go ahead on in. Now notice the home page here is a little bit different than it is. And in the future, we're going to be doing all kinds of stuff with this home page. But for now, we're only interested in the Give button. So what you want to do is tap the picture just above the word Give. And look at that. It's exactly the same. And when I say it's exactly the same, this is actually an example of them listening to us. Until yesterday, if you use the app, you could not give to multiple funds in the same transaction. It was like the old thing where you could only pick one thing at a time, one fund at a time. This literally went into production yesterday, and it was something that we asked them for. And we're not the only church, I'm sure, that asked for it. So now I can give money to tithes and love all in one transaction.
Sister Eloise,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in mine at the same time you were doing this, and my phone is not showing the updated fund piece. Is that because I have to re-download it, you think, redo the app?
No, but you might have to close it and reopen it. For a while, we were using the old version of the form.
Uh-huh.
And just yesterday, when they made this fix, we updated it to the new version. So you might need to close the app and then reopen it.
Okay.
So now everything is the same. You know, you see EY, and if you want to, you can upload your picture. I didn't. So everything is really the same. You can do everything just like you did before. You can update your profile. You can update your payment methods, add new payment methods. So it's really the same. You can see your giving history.
I just wanted to say too, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you
No, go
might
ahead,
have to
Brandon.
update your app too if it's something that recently just happened, Pastor Chris, to answer your question.
If you go to the App Store and search for Church Center, sometimes it has like an update button there.
Yeah.
Or you can just, if it's easier, delete the app and download it again, and you'll have the updated version.
Okay.
And it has gotten some updates since we started.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
now the last thing is, or does anybody have any other questions about the app before we go to text to give?
One thing that we didn't show, when you do download the app, especially if it's your first time, it asks you to search for the church. It says, where's your church, or find your church. You just type in CareView and it should pop up. If you share your location, and you live near the church, it'll pop up because it knows the location of CareView. So just locate the church first, and just locate the church by typing in CareView, and it'll find us. So you can be associated with the appropriate church.
And if you have given or been receiving emails from us and you don't get a profile, if it doesn't connect, that's an example of when we want you to contact us at cvccalerts@gmail.com so we can figure out why it's not connecting you with your profile. So anything else before we go to text to give, the last thing? Okay, you ready? So to give to text to give, you're going to text to the phone number 877-651-6181. And of course, I have it saved as a contact. And when you get there, that's all you have to do for text to give. Now, if you have no idea what you're doing and you just type la 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 and you send that, it's going to come back to you and it's going to say, hey, what are you doing? That's an invalid keyword. It's going to tell you what you're supposed to say. So it's very easy. If you say give space $5, if that's all I type and I send it off, as long as I have a profile, because remember, it knows my phone number, so it's going to match me with my phone number. But if that's all I type, it's going to give $5 to tithes and offerings, because that's the default fund. If I wanted it to go to missions instead, I'm going to type in give $5 missions. Now, just suppose I misspell mission. I say mushing. It's going to say, what are you talking about? That's an unrecognized fund, but you can see it's kind of smart. So I say, hey, did you mean to type in mission? And to get to text to give, you just text a message to the phone number 877-651-6181. You don't have to remember that phone number because it's in the announcements every week. If you go to the website and you go to the giving page, it's there in the text to give option. But that's all I did. I just opened up my text thing and I started texting to 877-651-6181. So I messed up mission and it said, hey, were you trying to spell missions? Just in case you weren't, here's the help, because you clearly don't know what you're doing. And so it takes me to the text to give help page. And at the beginning of it, it's telling you all kinds of stuff about how to type in the command. And but then the really good part is it tells you what funds CareView Community Church has defined for text to give. And there they are: ties, love, missions, legacy. So those are the words that you want to type in: give, the $, the amount that you want, and then one of these fund names. So that is really all there is. It tells you that when you first use it, the first time you use it, it's going to ask you about your payment method because it needs to know where is this money coming from. But once you're set up, it's just a breeze after that. So it's just the first time that you have to get established with it. So do you have?
Do we need to change our current giving panel, or does that QR code that we have on the giving panel go to all this? Because we're still, I guess I'm thinking we need to change it in the sense that we're still talking about how to, get people to Cash App and Venmo and all those kinds of things. But I'm wondering, like I saw a visitor a couple of weeks ago take a picture of the QR code, and I'm just wondering where
the QR code, I believe, takes them directly to careviewcommunitychurch.org/give, and then they can choose how to give either online, which will take them directly to the church center pages, or the other option. So that QR code is still working for them.
Do you think it's worthwhile? I'm guessing, this is my thought. I shouldn't say I'm asking a question, but I'm wondering if it'd be worthwhile changing that giving panel to give people a fresh perspective and a fresh start at doing Planning Center well. Do you know what I'm saying? That even though there may be people who still want to do Cash and Venmo or whatever, but I would love it, like, because some of the information that Eloise gave about like text to give or other things, maybe if we could do a panel that was really encouraging because people could see it right there up front without having to go through the website and so forth, that maybe it might be worthwhile to refresh that panel that's including this new information.
Sure, we can do that.
And I just wanted to show our fabulous FAQs page that we have developed for Planning Center. So just about everything that you want to know about Planning Center is on this FAQs page, including the FAQs, frequently asked questions, and we do keep updating these as things come up. But in addition to that, you can get, I'm sorry, my controls. You can actually, well, this was the link for today. You can go to the giving page. There's a Dr. Michelle Wilson created a step-by-step mobile app guide that walks you through step-by-step using the mobile app. And look at that, Jasmine made a video that's constantly flashing, that's walking through someone logging in to the page. And then we also have the reminder that you can email us at CBCC alerts. So the FAQs page is still here. So are there any other questions or comments that anybody has before we close? Was this helpful? Very good. All right, I'm gonna stop recording. Can I stop recording, Jasmine?
Sure.
There we go.